friends. I'm Karen, and this is the Family Food for Moms podcast. We're talking about inspiration for family cooking and dining. Today, I want to talk about desserts and how it's not necessarily bad to have dessert even quite regularly. I was recently talking to my mom-in-law who's visiting from Belgium, and she was telling us how in Belgium, people often eat dessert every night or most nights. There would be a 3-course dinner, usually starting with soup, and then the main, and then a dessert. And it's kind of expected that there's dessert every night. And I think this is a good thing because it's a much healthier version of a dessert. It's not some processed high white flour thing, but it's using natural ingredients like fruit and spices in it that are good for the blood sugar, and it's kind of seen as part of the meal. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit, tell you more about what they do and why having dessert is not a bad thing. So here are some reasons why it can be a good thing to have dessert with your dinner. One of the biggest ones for me is that it extends your meal and helps you to sit down to your meal for a longer time, have longer conversation, better fellowship, to really connect over your meal because you've got another course. Yes, it's a bit more work. So I definitely wouldn't do this every evening, but a couple of special evenings during the week where we'll have longer dinners. It'll be great to have something delicious. It does help that I have some sons and daughters who enjoy cooking desserts. One of my sons likes to make a pear tartin, if that's how you say it, or a peach cobbler, or some sort of custard. So for many Europeans, dessert is part of the structured meal. Meals are slower and more balanced. So dessert isn't a random sugar hit. It's part of the meal that's planned. It's got some good ingredients like the fruit, and you don't eat a lot because you've already had a good meal with soup, etc. So you have a small portion. So they use simple whole ingredients. They use dark chocolate, plain yogurt with berries, baked apples, pears, and then of course there are the sweeter, more prepared desserts too, but still with mostly good ingredients. And often they have better overall eating habits. They enjoy their food. They don't have like a guilt or reward mindset. They have balance in their meals and they're not afraid of a little dessert. And of course, they walk a lot. They walk just about everywhere. It's part of their daily life, and that helps to balance having the dessert. They also don't chase extreme sweetness. So the French desserts or other European desserts are often less sugary than what you'd usually find for dessert. Again, dark chocolate or some yogurt or fruit-based dishes will dominate. And so taste buds are not trained to expect that intense sweetness in a dessert. It's almost like just another course. And there's definitely a quality over quantity mindset. They wouldn't have huge portions. Portions are small and measured, and they're good. Like they're really well made with high quality ingredients. They're very tasty, but you don't need a lot. You just need a little taste to feel satisfied and to enjoy that third course. And I think it's important to eat dessert slowly, to enjoy the conversation, to not gobble it down, but to enjoy it as a sort of cap for dinner. There's also definitely a psychological aspect. There's no forbidden food. So because dessert is fine, people don't feel like they have to overindulge when they finally allow themselves something sweet. So that balance matters, I think, very much in your diet. Eating slowly increases your satisfaction as well, gives your body time to register the fullness, and the smaller portions will feel like enough. Also, what's seasonal is often what's used for dessert. So berries in summer, apples and pears in autumn and winter. And so they're naturally fresher and less sugar heavy. And I really think it's a big deal how these kinds of meals help increase your overall satisfaction, both physically and emotionally. Having a meal with a dessert appetizer and then your main course doesn't have to be that big. In fact, you'll use less meat in your family if you structure your meals like this. And then your simple, healthy dessert gives the meal kind of a feeling of being rounded off, being well balanced, being satisfying. And it's very satisfying to eat like that, to have a meal like that as part of your regular routine. Sometimes the French also have a cheese course. At the end of the meal, they'll have some cheese, maybe some French bread. You could certainly do it with just cheese, a few cheese slices or wedges on a little platter, or even using cheese in your dessert like mascarpone or cream cheese can really be delicious. Cheese is actually really good for the digestion, and the chewing of hard cheese helps to clean your teeth. Good bacteria in there. So that's a really good end to the meal. And you could use the cheese instead of the dessert some of the time. So, good things to think about. Definitely reduces cravings for sugar late at night if you've had a good meal with a good ending and a nice little dessert. A classic French dessert might still include some sugar and butter, but it's smaller portions and higher quality, and overall, they will eat less processed foods, so that won't matter in their diets. It definitely supports a balanced relationship with food. Foods aren't labeled as good or bad, but they're part of a healthy diet. And of course, the high quality ingredients play a big role. Simple ingredients like eggs, butter, fruit, and dark chocolate instead of the ultra processed additives. Fewer artificial preservatives, more actual nutrients. So you're nourishing your body with good ingredients, even though they contain some sugar, etc. Completely cutting out desserts often backfires as well because you don't satisfy your sweet tooth. So a small, well-made dessert can really satisfy your cravings. So let's talk about a few options of simple desserts that we can do, being inspired by the French or the Belgians in what they like to make for dessert. The French approach to sweets is that it's about balance, quality, and enjoyment. Everyday lighter options, as I've mentioned, could be fresh fruit. Some fruit is really lovely and sweet, so that on its own could be enough. You could do some chopped up strawberries and a little bit of fresh cream, or a little bit of yogurt with some blueberries. Then you could do a baked dessert with apple or pear. So simply bake the fruit itself, sprinkle a little bit of sugar and cinnamon over it. And then when it's good and soft, you can add a bit of fresh cream if you'd like to, and a drizzle of honey. You could do plain yogurt with a drizzle of honey. You could do very simply a little bit of dark chocolate. And then you can stew your fruit like apples or prunes. That's quite common and it's easy on the digestion. You could do like a compote or a berry coulis, which is fruit that's cooked down with little or no added sugar, or you can add a little bit of sugar if the fruit is tart and needs it. So you're basically cooking down the fruit until it's thickened. And that's delicious either on its own or as a topping for a dessert. A homemade custard is delicious, and that's also wonderful with fruit like strawberries or baked apple. It goes well with the custard. Then there are various tarts, and these are sometimes easier purchased than baked, but you can certainly try something like a mousse, a chocolate mousse, or a tart, small tart, or a creme brulee. And then occasionally you could do a treat like a Belgian waffle with some cream on top, uh, pancakes or crepes with fruit inside. Just using wisdom to vary the sweetness of your dessert and have healthier options like the dark chocolate or the fruit some of the time with a bit of cheese. And then more decadent desserts just once or twice a week. The other thing about cheese, especially hard cheese, if you have some fruit and chocolate with a little bit of cheese, it's going to balance out that sugar, and then you'll have less of a blood sugar spike if you have the cheese at the same time. So, fruit based desserts are the best, I think, to go for most of the time. Small amounts, not highly processed. Happy equals healthy. So, having a good meal will really contribute to your overall health. And remember, it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be as simple as some dark chocolate. So I hope that this has given you some good things to think about. Of course, it's good to have meals without desserts because we don't want to have to rely on that every time. But I think it's a good thing to incorporate it into our meals more and to bring down our idea of dessert from a really complicated, sweet thing that we've either bought or baked to simple, good things that the Lord has given us, good whole foods, healthy, delicious fruits. You could even chop up a mango as an end to your meal. Lovely and sweet. Add a few nuts on the side. Thanks for listening today. Have a great week. I'll see you next time.